The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kerry Manan. I'm your host this evening for the Welcome to Islam show. So this is the show that goes out on Sunday evenings at 6 till 7 every week. And this week I'm representing the Luton Revert Group. You've heard me before, I've been on a few times now, but I'm also accompanied by my delightful companion as usual, Rosa. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sister.
So I'll just recap for anyone who's new and listening to what the show is about. So this is the Welcome to Islam show. This is a show dedicated to the new Muslims in the community, of which myself and Rosa are two. And we basically try and bring fresh topics every time we come and talk. And today's topic is going to be about marriage. So we're going to talk a little bit about the virtues of marriage. And then we'll also look at some of the kind of things to consider before actually taking that big step into matrimony. I also would like to tell you a little bit about Luton Revert Group, the group that I'm the chair of, and Rosa is the secretary.
Correct.
So Luton Revert Group has been running for about 3 years now.
Yes.
And we are based here in Luton, and we have a thriving Revert community here in Luton. And but we did notice that there was a little bit of gap. There's plenty of support out there in terms of knowledge, and being able to access that through some brilliant courses and things that are out there. But we just found that the social support that's required for new Muslims, we just kind of thought we could step up and try and help a little bit there. So we tend to meet once a month, and we have reverts from a mixture of different backgrounds and different ages.
Yes.
Predominantly from the Luton and the surrounding areas. And like I said, we meet once a month and we try to impart some knowledge as well as having some social time, getting to know each other. So we're like a little family. And we bring topics that are interesting and relevant for the new Muslim, just so that we can have a little bit of knowledge as well as some social and fun time together.
There's also plenty of contact in between as well. So we have an active Facebook page.
We do, yes, and a WhatsApp group.
As well. So
we're keeping in touch.
Yes, it is almost like a virtual online family, but also we try to meet up in person whenever possible in between. So it's not just that once a month, and then we forget about everyone. Yes. Because that's almost as bad as going to a weekly class and then for the rest of the week that new Muslim is left on their own. So.
Yes. So we try to just provide that little bit of extra support as well. We're there for each other if anyone has any questions, and we have had people in the last year that have been brand new, taken the Shahada. We've had the pleasure of witnessing that for a couple of people. And so we're there to kind of like be their soundboard, to be their support, and also just point them in the right direction if they do need any knowledge. We do have the support of some fantastic individuals in the community as well.
Yes.
And so we're there just as the kind of like first point of call that we can then refer on as well.
The amazing thing about the group in itself is that we are not in a vacuum, and therefore we have through the 3 years we've developed a wealth of connections with the native Muslims, so to speak.
Yes.
The local communities, different mosques, different educational centers, and we've built connections with them. So we, from that point of view, we actually have a plethora of resources that we at our disposal.
Yes.
Because we're not born Muslims, we don't have the extended community that would know someone who knows someone who knows someone and have the help at hand. So we are that for our fellow new Muslims within the group.
Yeah, and it's not about isolating ourselves and being our own little band of merry men. We do get out there, and we do, for example, do things like a summer fete. We've done that for a couple of years now, where we invite the community in as well, and just so that we can get to know each other too. So we do a variety of things, including this show as well, of course, which is one of our kind of outreach parts of what we do.
Sometimes it's also about throwing us in at the deep end.
Yes.
So that some of us who are probably a little bit shyer or a little less adept at certain things, it gives us the opportunity to be of service.
Yeah.
To
we
others.
keep trying to get other people on the show, don't we, Rosa?
Yes, we do.
We do keep trying to say to our members as well, come on the show, but not everyone is so brave about public speaking. Like myself, I wasn't really up for it to start with, but here we are.
You've done an amazing job, mashallah. So maybe next time we can get them to do other things. So if somebody else, when we do the summer fate, inshallah, maybe somebody else can volunteer to do the face painting.
Oh yes, because that's
There's
been
no talking involved.
That's your job, Rosa. We don't want them taking your job.
You do realise I wing it most of the time, right?
Anyway, so so that's a little bit about Luton Revert Group. And if you do want to get in touch with us, we are on Facebook, and we also have an email, lutonrevertgroup@gmail.com. We do have a phone number, which I can't remember off the top of my head.
The bat phone. No,
yeah, we call it the bat phone, but it's on our Facebook page, and it's you can also Google us. I think you'll be able to find our number there. And of course, you can call into Inspire Radio, and they'd be able to give the number. That's terrible. I don't know the number, isn't it?
You never have to ring yourself. That's why.
So today's topic, like I said, excuse me, is about marriage. So this is something that can be a bit of a minefield for the new Muslim. So this is something that we also get approached about a lot. We get asked about marriage a lot. We get a lot of people kind of coming and saying, I want to marry a new Muslim. For a variety of different reasons, so we get a lot of approaches about that, but we also get some of our members saying, actually, you know what, it's quite difficult because I haven't got that traditional background where I can ask my mum and dad to help find someone. So there are a few challenges that new Muslims face when it comes to marriage. So we'll go into that a little bit later, but first of all, I just wanted to kind of cover a few of the basics about the virtues of marriage. Anas, Allah be pleased with him, narrates that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, if any person performs nikah, he has completed half his religion. To fulfill the other half of his religion, he should fear Allah. And also, Ibn Abbas, Allah be pleased with him, narrates that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, nikah, marriage, creates a bond of love between the husband and wife that no other bond can create. So I mean, it's fair to say that those two are quite powerful message there in terms of the importance that our faith places on getting married. And in fact, our Prophet, peace be upon him, said 4 matters are from amongst the teaching of the prophets, peace be upon them all: to be modest, to apply perfume, to use miswak, to get married. So, it's obviously, quite an important thing. And it's something that's encouraged. And I think as individuals, having a family, it's priceless, So yes. So there's obviously various reasons why an individual should get married. So the Prophet has also mentioned marriage is from among my ways. Hence, to get married is sunnah. So basically, if we're following the sunnah of our Prophet as best as we can, then we should aim to be married, inshallah. And it's also important to note that marriage protects a person from committing sins like adultery, evil glances, masturbation, protecting their morality, and it compels the man and women to discipline their desires in a way that will protect themselves. And also, a person should also get married to increase the ummah, the followers of our Prophet, peace be upon him. And this is a hadith that I hadn't seen before that made me smile. Marry such women who are extremely fond of their husbands and who can bear many children, so that I, the Prophet Muhammad, can be proud on the day of judgment due to your large numbers. And that's Abu Dawood.
Okay, that's wonderful for a certain age group. Yeah, that's wonderful.
I just they're extremely fond of their husbands and they're prepared to have so many children. I just thought that's quite a pleasing statement. And that wasn't one that just made me have a little bit of a giggle and a wry smile at that one.
Well, that's the thing of just that when a husband is well loved, that he will shine and he will blossom himself. So in that sense, that is, and it goes both ways.
Of course.
It brings out the best in you.
Yes, absolutely. There's a few of the kind of virtues of marriage that I wanted to touch upon. And as I was kind of alluding to earlier, one of the things that to kind of make this relevant for the new Muslims out there is that there are quite a few barriers, I would say, for the new Muslim in terms of getting married. As I mentioned before, the fact that, you know, it is the tradition in order to kind of maintain the kind of etiquette of hijab and being halal, that men and women don't mix freely as you would expect in the Western society, where they would meet each other in the pub or over a coffee or something like that. Yeah. You know, a new Muslim hasn't got that kind of avenue anymore, as of course a born Muslim doesn't. Yeah,
there's also no chatting up a sister walking down the street minding their own business.
There's no flirty business either. So what you tend to have is this traditional construct of, you know, arranging marriages where people are introduced. So this doesn't, I'm not necessarily talking about the kind of like connotation of, you know, the arranged marriage where boy meets girl, you know, like the week before their nikah, and, you know, they just get to see each other and say hello and that's it, job done. I'm talking about, you know, the fact that, you know, aunties, mums, dads, brothers, sisters are all helping to kind of like identify a potential spouse for the individual, said individual, you know, in a halal way.
I've come across different people telling me different ways they went about getting married, and one of them mentioned asking his imam at the local mosque to find them somebody. Now that's obviously allows for the imam will have access to a pool, you know, a bit more. They will have the connections.
Well, at the very least, they've got a congregation who they're aware of.
But what they may not have is the actual personal knowledge of the person that's asking, and their suitability for marriage, first of all, and also to be able to find somebody that suits them. Very often, you'll have when it comes to a parent finding a spouse for their child, they normally choose from the local community, from somebody that's like them.
Yes.
So there's already an implicit understanding that they're coming, they have the same starting point culturally.
Yes.
So they will have plenty in common.
Kind of similar expectations and that kind of thing.
And plenty in common already. So that's a good start. So the fact that they may not know each other, that's not that essential.
No.
From that point of view. But when you have someone who's of a different culture, then it adds a whole different set of parameters that need to be considered. For a start, we need to know. I did give you a bullet point list of the, you know, of things that people need to look into. Yes. And for a start, there's a pressure sometimes for the new Muslim to get married.
Before they're ready.
Before they've learned who they are within their deen and how their own place within their faith.
Yeah.
And generally it's, though there are other avenues where they suggest wait a couple of years, do some classes, do extended courses, learn, be confident in your deen, and also know know what you can bring to the plate when it comes to marriage. Because it's very easy to say, well, let's do a little list of what I want in a spouse.
Yes. So we can all create that list right here and now.
Yeah, and also very often somebody who's a new Muslim will come from a lower sense of confidence, whereby they think that if
they just take the first offer.
Yeah, that's number one.
Yeah.
Possibly, there's that. There's also the possibility that they might marry someone who's not suitable for them because it's because they were recommended to them, or because they seem more confident in the faith than they are. So they think, well, this is somebody who can help me progress in my deen.
Yes.
And sometimes it doesn't pan out that way. Sometimes it's the other way around, and sometimes it's just terribly, like kind of backfires badly.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's also one thing I did say was it's important that people take their time. Once they've worked out what they bring, what they can contribute as a spouse, what they will like from the other as a spouse, and when they're confident in their deen, then the next thing that comes into it is take your time to find someone suitable. And if you're not sure because you doubt yourself, because maybe, in the past, maybe before you were Muslim, you kind of thought, well, okay, hey, I'm kind of rubbish at judging character.
Yes.
So ask someone's opinion. Ask someone you trust, somebody who knows you, somebody who ideally comes from a happy marriage and has a happy marriage themselves.
And this can kind of be like a substitute wali in a way. The guardian is the traditional kind of usually might be the dad or the uncle for traditionally, but it doesn't have to be them. It just can be somebody you respect, somebody you can trust, who can be the kind of intermediary and can give you that kind of soundboard to know that actually, one, making the initial introductions and that kind of thing, but they'll also be able to guide you and steer you a little bit in things maybe you hadn't thought about.
Yes.
And kind of being, and being a guardian, making sure that your interests are protected.
Yes, but that's also why taking courses on the fiqh of marriage is important. And I've come across people teaching and doing the course on the fiqh of divorce alongside the fiqh of marriage. I don't know why, but it's obviously it's important.
Well, I suppose it's just as important to know how to get out of something as to get into it.
You just make sure you've done, sure before you get into something. But that obviously you need to be protected from a point of view. I've seen cases where there was it was converts marrying a heritage Muslim and seeing how the marriage had an imbalance because he started off with that kind of lower expectations from the convert side, and also the fact that the heritage Muslim didn't necessarily understand where the convert was coming from. Didn't necessarily understand the emotional baggage that came with becoming a Muslim.
Yeah, and this is something I'd like to discuss quite a bit more in depth, actually, Rosa, is that kind of, accepting of a new Muslim's past. Because the thing is this, this is a whole bag of, stuff.
Yes.
This
and it
can
doesn't
be
disappear.
No.
And when you marry someone, you marry their family
and their history in a way. You have to kind of embrace that, because you might even find that they've had previous relationships.
If they have children already,
they might already have children already,
had
of course.
Previous,
yes.
At least one.
Yeah. And just and it goes deeper than that as well. Not just previous relationships, but it can be the kind of like emotional baggage, of maybe damaging relationships that they've had before, or even the fact that somebody's had a relationship before. There's always that kind of trepidation now about comparing with a previous relationship, and it's it's just opening a whole can of worms there in terms of the baggage that somebody might bring. And I know baggage sounds awful but it's not baggage. It's their life experience to date is what I'm talking about. It's also
the fact that you're not marrying this. For me, I haven't come across people saying, "Oh, I'd like to marry a convert." Well, actually, I had someone once, and yeah.
No, I know. I've come across it, not personally, but I've heard, people. I mean, we've had people approach Luton Revert Group about marrying a convert.
What are the reasons that they give when you ask them, when you delve a little? Why a convert? Why not just anybody else who's suitable for you? Why a convert specifically? What answers have they given you?
Well, the best answer I've had is that they're looking for someone who's really kind of solid in their belief, because you've gone and chosen the religion rather than being born into it.
All
this is the best one I've had.
Okay, mashallah, that's nice.
Where they've said, I feel that I've got something to offer in terms of supporting a new Muslim and helping them on the journey, and I know that their conviction is there. So that's the best example I've had. The worst. I mean, I've had mums ringing on behalf of sons saying, I want to have a pretty lady for my son. And I haven't want to delve any deeper into that one.
was there some language barrier there that whereby it's like pretty lady?
I don't know. Like I said, I didn't want to inquire as to what that actually meant, because
maybe she meant nice.
That's
maybe
implying
nice.
that born Muslims aren't pretty, which is just ridiculous.
Maybe they just meant simply, they meant somebody nice, and
but what's nice about a convert compared to somebody who's a born Muslim? I don't know.
You get those that will say to you, "Oh, you're a better Muslim because you chose the faith," but no. Because I argue with people that tell me those things, because I'll say, Astaghfirullah, I am just in the same boat as you, who was born a Muslim. Every time we get up for Fajr, we reaffirm that faith. Every time we struggle with our nafs, we reaffirm that faith. We all have the same issues. So there is no better Muslim, No,
of course not.
There isn't such a thing.
There's no such thing, and we're all equal in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But yeah, I mean, like I said, when I've kind of come across that kind of thing, I haven't really want to go any further, because I just don't want to know what I'm going to dig up. Yeah. My suspicion is that there's this idea almost of like a trophy. That I've managed to bag myself a new Muslim. I don't know.
But what they don't seem to realize is that
haven't
everything that goes with it.
Exactly.
You're not marrying.
They clearly haven't thought deeply about it.
Oh, I'm just going to marry the person, and because the rest of their family is not Muslim, then there's not going to be any interaction with them ever. If there's any children, those grandparents will never see the children ever. That's unrealistic.
Yeah, I mean, I do sometimes wonder as well if it is trying to get over the kind of cultural hurdles, because of the fact that a new Muslim won't have that kind of maybe cultural issue in terms of, I don't know.
But they bring their culture.
Of course, yeah. So that's it. It's like, well, you've disbarred one and brought on another.
Yeah, and there isn't a better culture than another culture. All cultures they bring flavor to Islam.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what's wonderful about such variety of Muslims around the globe. That you have the array of traditions, you have the array of dishes and food and clothing. The amount of the variety of modest clothing that you find around the globe. Even if we just look at the other umpteen different ways of styling your hijab, and you can recognize somebody's nationality, sometimes based on the kind of hijab, on the way they style the hijab.
Yes, like there's a Turkish style.
Yeah, exactly. So there is, and there are certain elements, and it's beautiful, and that's beautiful, because Islam spread around the globe in such a way that it didn't Arabify the different countries and the different nationalities.
Well,
But what it did, it actually couched itself within those cultures,
Yes.
and became of that.
Well, when I was researching,
without changing
Yes.
changing
when I was,
changing the message.
when I was researching for this show, I came across a comment that said, I think all new Muslims in this country should marry other new Muslims to kind of establish their own kind of UK version of Islam. And I thought, not sure about that, because they feel that so many get diluted. If you marry a born Muslim, then you just kind of, you're not bringing in your own version of a British Islam. But yeah, I don't know about that one.
I think there's a place for everything.
Yes.
So if that's what works, that's what works.
Yeah.
Invariably you'll have people that will marry somebody of their own nationality, and there will be somebody that will marry somebody of a different nationality. Some will work, some will not. Either will work, both will not. We don't know.
No.
So it's...
Okay, Rosa, well, we're coming up to a break. Inshallah, we shall carry on this very interesting discussion after the break. See you on the other side. Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Today's topic is marriage. Prior to the break, we were discussing the virtues of marriage. And we were talking a little bit about some of the barriers that new Muslims have when trying to go down that journey of matrimony and trying to find a spouse. So I'm just going to kick off this part of the show just saying that actually Luton Revert Group are hosting an event for marriage coming up on the 8th of March, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Hokwa Ring Community Centre. So because of some of these issues that we've been talking about the fact that new Muslims do find it difficult to find someone to marry because they haven't got those traditional avenues, because potentially some of the past experiences, we like to call it now, not baggage, that they've got. So that's why we decided to host this event. It's the first time that we're doing such an event. Yes. But I think we're getting quite good at hosting events. We've hosted a variety of events. We've done things like iftars. We've done some summer bazaars. We've hosted various things like book launches.
This is a little bit different.
This is a little bit different.
But the one thing that we've done with this is the same as all the other events. We put a lot of time and care and attention to how we've planned to the event, how we've planned to deliver it, how we plan to follow it up afterwards. So the one thing that I had, it's interesting because some of the initial feedback I've had from some people has been, I know people that would be interested in signing up, but they're a little bit reluctant because apparently other events sometimes have an imbalance whereby you have a higher turnout of sisters, for instance, and the ratio is not enough brothers, so there's not enough of choice, in a sense, of opportunities, let's say. And the one thing that we've done with this event is we've actually thought long and hard about this. We addressed that concern, and what we've done is we've set numbers, we set limits, so there would be an equal balance of brothers and an equal balance of sisters. There would also be an equal balance of convert brothers and an equal balance of convert sisters. This event is also open, which means that also there's an equal balance of heritage Muslim brothers and an equal balance of heritage Muslim sisters. Therefore, it's suitable in a way that there will be a chance to meet a variety of individuals. we've set a questionnaire as well, so that we actually assess the person's background and also what they're looking for. But the way we deliver the event on the evening is that bit special, I think.
Yeah. So one of the other things that we've, during our research for this event, is that we've had this concern about this kind of idea of speed dating, where individuals are kind of left to kind of like move around the room and have like a snapshot interview with an individual before then moving on. And, and quite possibly rightly, this isn't kind of seen as the best halal kind of way to go about things. So we've thought long and hard about how to deliver this event so that we can try and observe hijab and modesty as best as we can. And the way that we're going to achieve that is by having group discussions, which will all be monitored on the day as well, and kind of chaperoned by an individual, so that topics will be discussed that will get the individuals thinking about what it is they want to get out of marriage. Have they considered everything? Have they actually got the right credentials to be able to offer to their spouse? And also because we are Luton Revert Group, we have also thrown in the mix the fact that, if you do potentially meet a new Muslim, have you considered about what that will actually mean in terms of supporting that person through their journey in Islam?
Do you know what you're getting yourself into?
Yeah. Do you know what you're getting yourself into in terms of potentially your in-laws? Potentially, unfortunately, we do have some new Muslims where they've been rejected by their family. So they might be individuals might be very isolated and not have the support of family. And so
your family will become their family effectively.
Yes.
So you have to bear that in mind.
Exactly.
Where is your family? Where does your family live?
Yes.
And then because if they're far away, then it's just you and your spouse, and then
and then there's all the other considerations as well about, do you want to have children? Are you going to continue your careers once you're married? There's so many different things that obviously come up when you're considering marriage. So we're hoping that within the evening, because we've got a fair few number of hours together, we will discuss all of these hot topics so that, inshallah, we will get some matches. But even if you come along on the evening and you don't perhaps find someone that ticks your boxes, you still might have had some kind of initial thoughts prompted by the evening that you hadn't had before, and maybe it might change your perspective about things. It might broaden your kind of search criteria. Who knows what the outcomes might be? We're hoping, inshallah, that it will be beneficial in every way. So, like I said, we're hoping that the event will provide a halal environment where people get the opportunity to have these group discussions. And then, if they want to take it further and find out more about an individual, we will facilitate that post-event. So, and of course, the other thing is that we are employing the services of a very experienced imam, Ajmal Masur. Him and his wife already are involved in a matrimonial service of their own. So they're very experienced.
His wife is also a convert.
Yeah, his wife is a convert.
So
he ticks all the boxes in terms of his understanding of what new Muslims need, and the fact that he runs his own marriage service, and he's an imam. So he ticks all the boxes for us in terms of, having the knowledge, having the understanding, the sensitivity.
But also, yes, the sensitivity, but it will also not sugarcoat it. I mean, there's a reality to marrying, and there's a reality to marrying a convert. So he will make sure that those elements are covered.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's familiar with Imam Masur will understand how pragmatic his approach is. He's quite direct, but he's very knowledgeable, mashallah.
Yes.
And very pragmatic. So he will get to the heart of the matters that are really important and, stimulate those discussions so that, like I said, inshallah, people might uncover things that they hadn't considered you know, and like I said, maybe even broaden their horizons, or maybe even just solidify in their mind. Actually, yes, you know, the kind of idea I had in my mind, that's definitely what I want, and can take it from there. And inshallah, we'll get some matches too on the night, but let's see.
That'd be really good. I mean, some of the early sign-ups we've had have been from individuals who, because of their work
commitments,
simply they just don't have the opportunity to meet someone. So because let's face it, also that the marriage age, I think, is getting further
later.
It's getting pushed further back, because people are looking to establish themselves as a career, and actually quite rightly for a man who's looking to marry, he needs to have a solid basis whereby he can support a family.
And not just a wife, because in the future they might have children, you know, and they need to be able to, you know, support that going forward as well. So
but it's not just financially, but it's all in all different ways.
Yeah.
So it's having that calm and being settled, whereby they know who they are. And I mean, there's obviously, I've seen marriages where people get married very early on, and they grow together.
Yes.
And they grow, so they have the opportunity to mature together. But then you have also this, whereby people, and also you have those who may have come to Islam later in life.
Yes.
They might have children already from previous marriages. They might, you know, they might have had a life already. You know, that doesn't cease to exist at the moment somebody becomes a Muslim.
Yeah.
You know, of course, your sins are forgiven, and you are washed anew as like a brand new baby. You know, and that's subhanallah. But that doesn't make your failed previous marriages disappear.
No.
That doesn't make your children disappear. That doesn't make your non-Muslim family disappear.
Yes.
You know, it's just that you cannot, when somebody considers marrying a convert, they have to bear in mind all of those things come with them.
Yes. And that reminds me, actually, last month we had the wonderful Sister Batul join us.
Yes, I like
and
her very
she
much.
gave us that was the kind of pre-marriage course that we seminar that we ran last month in a run-up to our next event. And she mentioned, one of the things she mentioned was about the non-Muslim family. You know, she said, because she actually, mashallah, she performs nikah herself. She's had various new Muslims approach her to conduct their ceremonies. And one of the first things she asks the potential partner of the new Muslim is, you know, are you prepared to take on their family too, and what that might mean? So, for example, she mentioned one couple where it was an English lady, so born here and raised here, with an English family, marrying a born Muslim of Asian background. I'm not sure if he was born here or not. That's not relevant. No. And she asked him, you know, are you prepared to spend time with your wife when she goes and sees her family over Christmas? Is that going to be an issue for you? You know,
but it didn't occur to them that it's like if you need to support your spouse.
Yes,
you need to support your spouse.
Yes. And so, you know, she put it very, you know, she put it just straight out there, you know, have you considered that this is something that you'll have to do, you know, that this is something you're going to have to broach. You're going to have to, and, you know, unfortunately, it's not even just about, you know, Christmas and celebrations. It's about, you know, bereavements, attending funerals. You know, we, as a new Muslim, you know, I mean, we all pray that we can convert our families and bring us on the path with us. But the reality is that quite often we don't. And we have to deal with that. And we need a partner that will support us through that. You know, and so, you know, that was just like one of the things she raised last month, like I said. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That's a biggie.
One other one which not personally, but I've seen is where there's this tendency to try and welcome the convert within the fold of the family, and then proceed to try and eradicate the whiteness out of them. So
Yes.
whereby it's about trying to I think it's done out of kindness, in the sense that if you dress like we do, then you're number one, you're showing respect for the family, but also you are seen as being participating in being part of the family, and it's done out of it's their understanding of what modest clothing is.
Yes.
And modest clothing to them is a certain culture. So there's that.
And I think this is an issue, just not even just in marriage, just for new Muslims in general.
Yeah.
This kind of idea that as soon as you accept Islam, you have to kind of embrace this kind of new culture.
Yes, all of a sudden you become Arab.
Yes, we all have to dress in black abayas and thobes, and kind of strip our own.
Yeah, stop eating what you were eating before, even
Change
if it
your
was
name.
halal.
Change your name.
Change your name.
That's always
Become
the first
somebody
one.
else
How many
entirely.
times I've been asked, "Oh, they meet me. Oh, hi, Kerry, Assalamu alaikum." But what's your Muslim name? Yes, Kerry. No, but you've taken on a Muslim name now. No, still Kerry.
Yeah.
Why would I change my name? It's what my mother gave me, my father gave me.
And if it means nothing bad, then why not?
And that's not to say that anyone who wants to change their name to a Muslim name that's perfectly fine, but it's perfectly fine that you don't have to.
Okay. There's also one other thing, which is, and it has to be considered, where, how to put it in a delicate manner. For some people, they understand that the Ummah is varied and comes in a multicolored array of ethnicities and backgrounds, and the Ummah is one.
Yes,
and therefore, and we're supposed to love each other as part of the Ummah, because Allah commands us to love each other.
There's the hadith about we're made in tribes and. So that we might recognize each other, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the fact is that there is no getting away that some families will prefer their children to marry somebody from their own same background, because there is safety in that. Because you'll know that the spouse will know what's expected of them, will have the same expectations and the same understanding culturally.
Same language.
Yeah, there's that. Yes. But the thing is that when you have a marriage where people come from two different backgrounds, the family may well be fully accepting, and the couple will be fine, and the families and immediate friends will be perfectly fine. So they may not be experience racism, for instance, within their immediate surrounding, but they have to consider that although they may not experience it in their marriage and in their life, that when the children come along, the children may end up being on the receiving end of that. So it's about being prepared to know what might come into fruition, and that we have to consider. So it's about thinking about it for the long haul.
Yes.
It's not let's do the nikah, let's get married and live happily ever after, and it's all lovely. Mashallah, and married until one of us passes away, because that's the only time that the bond of marriage is broken. Is once the spouse passes away, there is no longer marriage between them. So it's about thinking about the different things ahead.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. There is a lot to think about in terms of what to expect when you get, especially when you're talking about a multicultural marriage. And it's like you said, it's whether or not you're prepared to accept both cultures. You can't just try and assimilate one to the new to the one culture.
Yes.
It has to be give and take, and there is room in Islam, like you said, there is room in Islam for that, for us to have culture. As long as there's no shirk, we are allowed to keep our culture. And it's a very important point to make.
And for the children especially, it's important for them to know that one parent is not lowered in class or status to the other parent. They love both parents, and both parents come from different cultural backgrounds. So the children should not be raised in such a way that they will begin to reject part of their identity because it's seen as less acceptable.
Yeah. One of the other things that Batul mentioned to me, which I really loved, was she actually brought along to the meeting a copy of the ceremony that she performs when she does the nikah. And what she does is she very much tries to involve all the family. So the family, that are Muslim and the family that are not Muslim. I know that there have been cases where people have got married, like in a multicultural scenario, where people have got married and it's like they have no clue what's going on the marriage day. They have no clue because it's not a lot of the traditions that are done are not of their culture.
No. It's like, oh, by the way, you're married now and you're sitting in a different
room.
And it's like, do they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, what happened to walking down the aisle and where's the speeches and just as it's bewildering for the person getting married, it's equally bewildering for their family because they have no clue what's going on either.
Especially if it's conducted in a language that they don't understand.
Yes.
So the one thing that was beautiful was that Sister Batul obviously includes all the required dua and recitation that it is to conduct a nikah.
Yeah.
So that's what's required. But the additional elements that have been introduced is because there is, and I'm not sure what the Arabic word for it is, but it allows for cultural variation. So for instance, where a convert is getting married here, because traditionally people here wear
exchange
wedding rings.
Yes.
So because it's traditional of the British Isles to wear to exchange rings when people get married, then something that's also included, and I really, really like that.
Yeah, and there's nothing haram in that.
No,
there's nothing wrong in that. It's perfectly permissible.
Yes. Because also people exchange rings, whether in any faith in this country. I mean, it doesn't have to be Christian. It doesn't have to be in a church. It can be in a registry office, and people will still exchange rings because culturally it represents marriage. It's not that it is within a specific religious context. So
yeah, and like you said, she conducts the ceremony in English,
so that the family
understands, that everyone understands. Yeah, and she does it in a way, and in fact she said that she's in the process of getting I forget what the word is, like accreditation for being
a registrar.
Being a registrar, yes. So that she can actually then conduct the civil ceremony at exactly the same time as the nikah, because that of course is one of the issues that we have in this country.
All it requires is just one sentence.
One extra sentence.
It's just one extra sentence that's to be said.
Yes.
And to make it legal.
Yes.
And it's in English.
Yeah.
So that's just something that's tacked on. But that way it also gives that formal recognition that it is a marriage.
Yes.
From the non-Muslim family members.
Yeah,
they understand it is a marriage, is valid.
Yes.
It is.
And it's valid within the UK law.
Yes.
Because this is really important point, is that, in order to be protected, to have your rights protected under the UK law, Islamic marriage is still not recognised.
No.
So you have to now still do a separate registration of your marriage. That is really important, because it does protect your rights as an individual. Whereas, if your Islamic marriage breaks down in this country, yes, you can go to Sharia court, but there's nothing legally binding for the decision of that court.
Yes.
Anyone who gets into anything acrimonious.
Also, but something that Sister Batul said was that it's all very well good that Sharia court may well rule in favor of whatever spouse, but there is nothing to force them or to oblige them to fulfill it.
Yes.
You have to rely on how pious they are.
On how honest they are, and that they will abide by that decision. And so a person who doesn't like it can just decide to ignore
just
it.
walk out, never mind.
So that is why it is so important to make sure that you do have the UK civil marriage as well as the nikah to protect your rights in this country.
Which also opens a whole other kind of worms if somebody is a second wife. We're not gonna get there. We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
So I just wanted to kind of as well cover on some of the kind of advice that this one's that I was looking at is specific advice for brothers. I think the advice towards brothers is because they have more responsibility. But basically it's about improving your deen, making sure you have a good education so that you can have a good career, and learn about your spouse's responsibilities, your responsibilities as a spouse. So we are coming to the end of the show. So I just want to remind everyone about the event that we're having. I hope that we've been enlightening about what we're hoping to achieve by this event. So it is on the 8th of March at 6 to 9 p.m. at Hockwell Ring Community Centre. Tickets are available via Eventbrite. So if you just go into Eventbrite and search for either Luton Revert Group or Revert Marriage, you should, inshallah, come across that link. So we're going to wrap up now. Thank you so much for listening. I shall say Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.